Question is that the bill be now read the second time. The honourable member for Elwick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to speak briefly on the appropriation bill. Budgets are tough, and this is a tough budget for the government, and we're heading into another one very shortly. And we've seemed to have done budgets a lot in recent times because we had an election unexpectedly last year and things were delayed. And so I look forward to hopefully an ordinary budget year next year. And wouldn't it be nice if we didn't have to do this again next financial year? Again, my optimism abounds. The member for Launceston took the words right out of my mouth in a lot of what she said in her contribution, in that the focus of my contribution really is going to be on the question of what is the government doing to inquire into why these requests for additional funding repeatedly occur. Does the government analyse departments' appropriation requests through the lens of why is this continually happening? And what can be done to address the causes rather than the symptoms of overspending year and year after year? I appreciate the supporting information that was provided to members that provides some detail on what the additional money is for and provides a very high-level explanation as to why it's needed. But, Mr. President, what if we or government or the departments applied the 5 Whys rule? Do they apply the 5 Whys rule? It's a simple and easy to use tool for problem solving. It helps to identify the underlying causes of problems, not just surface level symptoms. How is it applied? Well, you start with the problem statement. Then you ask why to identify the immediate cause. Then you continue asking why, based on the previous answer, digging deeper into the problem. And repeat this process until you reach the root cause, which is a fundamental reason for the problem. It's not an easy task, but, Mr. President, going broke isn't easy either. Everyday Tasmanians struggling with cost of living pressures can't just keep going into debt when times get tough. They have to ask some hard questions, have to change the way they do some things, have to stop doing some other things. It is reasonable that Tasmanians expect our government to do the same. I note the member for McIntyre's question about the $500,000 grant to Wine Tasmania that is included in this bill, and I too had some questions about this. My question, and I hope the leader can answer in response, is how did this grant come about, and how does the government justify an ad hoc grant to Wine Tasmania through a supplementary appropriation bill process when so many community organisations are hanging by a thread, waiting on the outcome of the community budget submission process? Community organisations who will put significant time and effort into community budget submissions, desperately waiting for an answer, waiting for the budget to be handed down in May. Mr. President, I've talked to a number of people who work in community organisations, people who head up organisations who are desperate to be able to tell their staff whether they'll have a job beyond the end of the financial year, losing staff because of the uncertainty. Now, I support the work of Wine Tasmania, Mr. President, and the allocation of government funding to assist in its activities. That's not the point I'm making here. My concern is about fair and equitable allocation of funds. What process was undertaken to make this allocation? And can the government, hand on heart, say that a fair and equitable process was undertaken to allocate these funds? Like the member for McIntyre, I also had questions about government investment in private business, namely that...
President, just before the honourable member moves on, those questions really are questions for government, not Treasury. We can give you the allocation of the funds and where it came from and why, but the reasons you're asking behind are not the advisors I've got. It might be something you want to find out through another medium.
Leader for the government.
Okay, thank you.
Answer. Thank you.
Like the member for McIntyre, I also had questions about government investment in private business in the tungsten mine, because what precedent does this set and where does it end? Of course, I will support this bill, Mr. President, because the state service needs to keep on functioning. But I urge the government not to rest on their laurels on the assumption that members will continue to support budgets and supplementary appropriation bills for this reason. We, as individual elected members representing our community, have a really important role to play in good governance of this state and appropriate budget setting and the appropriate spending of money. It's a role that we all take very seriously. So I urge the government to ask the hard questions of departments. I urge the government to ask the 5 whys and to encourage their departments to ask the 5 whys to try and address the problems that continually lead to overspend rather than continually band-aid fixing the problems with short-term solutions. Mr. President, other honourable members in their contributions have spoken about the specifics, some of the specifics that are included in this appropriation bill. And a lot of what they've spoken about does go to the point of that I raise of why are these things happening. We've talked about, honourable members have talked about, you know, we need more money for the advice and referral line because more people, they have increased calls. More people are needing advice through this advice and referral line. How do we together work to address the root cause of why people are needing that help? There's an increase in the number of children accessing special care packages through out-of-home care. So there's an amount of 14.1 million additional required there. Why do we have more children accessing special care packages? Why is there more money required to be spent in out-of-home care? And how do we address some of the wicked problems that are at the root cause of having increasing numbers of children in out-of-home care? How do we be brave and address some of these generational poverty and trauma issues and try and prevent further generations of children being affected by these wicked problems and that end up seeing children in out-of-home care, Mr. President? These are some of the questions that together all of the members of this place and the other place have knowledge and perspectives to share and to contribute. And how can we collectively work with the government using that skills and knowledge and the perspectives that we bring from our different electorates and experiences to try and solve some of these wicked problems? I'd really like to see the government doing that, and I think that goes to the point that the member for Hobart made as well. How can we work together collaboratively with the government to really try and address some of these significant wicked problems? Mr. President, the member for Rumney talked about additional funding that's been requested here due to the severe weather event that was experienced, the government's response to the severe weather events across Tasmania in August and September. You know, these severe weather events can't be predicted, but I think there ought to perhaps be some consideration.
Orders of the day. Sorry. Yeah. Well, people were slow standing, but we still do have some time left. So.
It's all right. Can wait till tomorrow.
No, you can.
I thought we missed it, so we missed it.
Yeah, we missed it.
Okay. Orders of the day.
Appropriation, supplementary appropriation for 2024-25 Bill 2025 Bill number 1, resumption of debate on the question that the bill be read a second time. Ms Thomas.
Honourable Member for Elwick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was just at the point of saying I could see in the supplementary appropriation bill there is a budget allocated for severe weather events, government assistance to address the consequences of severe weather events. And I was going to say, wouldn't it be nice if the government budget could put some money aside for a rainy day? In my optimism, I hope that one day soon we'll get to a point where that is possible. And that completes my contribution. Thank you, Mr. President.